Here's our music. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for another round of Mind Your Puckin' Business Special Edition, no music rockin', with your host, Jeffrey Krentzman.
Thank you, Dougie Sticks, from the beautiful studios of Undefeated Media here in Bergen County, New Jersey. This is the Mind Your Puckin' Business podcast brought to you by both the Bamboozle Project and DraftKings. We thank them both for their sponsorship, as always. Go check out thebamboozleproject.com. Save yourself 20% off all your order by typing in those four magical letters in order, MYPB at checkout, and 20% taken off your order completely. This is episode 221, 221. So if you're following us on the SAP features available to you today or whenever you're listening to this episode, we welcome you. We are taping the aforementioned episode on February 25th. It is the Wednesday morning, the last week of February. What a long February it has been if you're in the Northeast. So everything that we are talking about is current. Actually, make it very easy for you in time. The Olympics is over, and the NHL returns tonight, although the Rangers are back tomorrow night. You can contact us at any time at Mind Your Puckin' Business on Instagram, all one word, at Mind Your Puckin' Business. And you can listen to the show at any time. You can do it live this morning if you want to follow along with us, and that is on both YouTube as well as the Instagram platform. Or you can also stream stream at your convenience.
Facebook,
either
YouTube, Instagram,
either
Spotify,
on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Everywhere.
So anywhere you want to get us, you can, in fact, get us.
Yes.
So if you're in the Northeast, you dealt with some winter weather on Monday. Hopefully you guys made out okay with that. It's been a long winter. I have not had one of these winters in a while. Sunday was the Sunday morning was the gold medal Olympic game. And obviously here on MYPB, we are 98% to the core Rangers hockey. It's what we do. It's what we talk about, all of that stuff. And we will be that today. We will talk about Ranger hockey as we always do, but it would be a travesty if we didn't talk about the Olympics, in particular the gold medal game, which was on Sunday between the U.S. and Canada. Like I said, it would be not fair to you if we didn't mention it in some capacity. The U.S. going into this game has not won a gold medal in 46 years. To put that in perspective, I turned 46 last month in January. So if you do some simple math, the last time that the U.S. has won a gold medal in men's hockey, I was less than 2 months old. So that'll tell you how long ago it's been. Yeah, I mean, that's a while. I'd like to think that it was yesterday, but Father Time has its way of doing what it likes to do, and it was not yesterday. So, whether you agree or not, and it does bother me, but it's probably the way the reality is. Well, let me ask you this. There's four major sports, right?
Yeah.
You can agree on what the four major sports are. It's hockey, basketball, baseball, and football. Where do you think, realistically, where do you think hockey falls on the spectrum?
You said football, basketball,
baseball, and hockey.
And hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
be honest.
I would probably say, I would say there's like a three-way tie for second.
Okay. I would say hockey is fourth out of the four major sports. Yeah. Now, look, I wish that hockey trumped the other sports that are out there, but to me, it's fourth. When something like this happens on Saturday, or Sunday, rather, it helps grow the sport here in the U.S., which is great because more kids now will go out and try hockey because they want to be Jack Hughes and be the person that in overtime of a gold medal game versus your rival, you score the winning goal and win your country the gold medal. So whether you like the Rangers, which probably the vast majority of you that listen to us do, I would hope, or maybe you're a Devil fan or you like the Mammoth or the Kraken or whoever it may be, one thing we all share, no matter
got to come together,
right? No matter what your allegiance is, the fact that it grows the game of hockey is something we all win with, and that is a wonderful byproduct of what happened. Now, specifically, we didn't cover the Olympics here. The decision was made, and I know some people disagreed with it, and it was fine. I mean, you can't please everyone, as we know, as you and I talked about before the show, with the way the world is right now. But we made a decision we were not going to cover the Olympics because, in part, like the Rangers are so stressful that to get like a 2-week mental reprieve for your mental health, I think was good. But
it wasn't us; it was the bigwigs.
Right, we did. We had some say in it. We did, but honestly, I was all for not covering it. But we're not gonna go do a full recap of the Olympics, but we'll talk specifically about what happened Sunday, and that is that gold medal game. Although I should say, as a Ranger fan, remember Mika Zibanejad almost spoiled it because he had a one-timer goal a week ago today on Wednesday versus Sweden that sent that game to overtime. And once you get into overtime on 3-on-3, and we're going to discuss 3-on-3 in the Olympic play in a minute, but once you get to 3-on-3 anything can happen. So the U.S. could have lost. Mika was the one that almost spoiled that party. Sunday's game, and I know this is an extreme statement, and I've thought about whether I'm going to say it, and I am going to say it because I think it's true. I've watched a lot of hockey in my life.
Yeah.
A lot of Ranger hockey, a lot of non-Ranger hockey. If you're listening, you've watched a lot of hockey too. I will fill in your name in the sentence too. I think that was the most talented display of hockey I have ever seen in my life on the ice. Not just by the names, because I could sit there and obviously prove my point that, McCarr's out there and McKinnon and Jack Hughes and Austin Matthews and all these legit level studs. But the level of play that happened during the game was just incredibly high. If you disagree with that, and you're entitled to say that was not the most incredible display of talented hockey you've ever seen, I'd be curious to see what you think instead is the most incredible display of the sport you've ever seen, because to me, it's there. Midway through the second, the U.S. has a 1-0 lead, and we should mention, because it is not getting talked about, because all that is getting talked about, as it probably should, is Jack Hughes' goal. But the goal by Matt Boldy that gave the U.S. the lead in the first period, the way he did this slight lift of the puck was kind of like a move I've never seen. He does a slight lift of the puck to split the defenders to break in.
Twice.
That is
twice. He hit it up and then he hit it up again. He was juggling it. It was crazy.
That is such an elite level play. I mean, it really, really is. So, Matt Boldy's goal is not getting talked about a lot, but it should be. They're up 1-0. Midway through the second, all of this turns, right? U.S. is up 1-0, and it's pretty even in the shots as well. From about the midway point of the second period to, I would say, until the U.S. got that 4-minute power play that they didn't score on the high stick where Jack Hughes lost some teeth, Canada completely dominated that game. I mean, I don't even know how you would argue to me that the ice was not tilted in the Canadians' favor. When you think about all the things in that time frame, so mid-second period till about 6 minutes left in the third, Devin Taves in the third period has a complete open net. Hellebuyck just literally puts a stick out because that's all he can do in that point. There's nothing else he can do is put a stick out and hope and pray the puck hits the stick, and it does. McKinnon, who misses that on a strong side forehand, misses a wide open net. I had said to my wife as we were watching it that Nathan McKinnon will miss that shot 1 out of a million times. He will literally hit that shot 999,999 times out of a million. That was the one time he missed it. The puck that was going into the net that had gotten past Hellebuyck that hits Charlie McAvoy as he's going down. Remember, also earlier in the game, the U.S. had to kill not only a 5-on-3, but a 5-on-3 that was over a minute and a half long. And also, when you think about that 5-on-3 that the U.S. had to kill, think about the amount of talent that is on the Canadian power play that is coming at you with a 2-man advantage. They have McKinnon, they have McCarr, they have McDavid, they have Celebrini. These are legit players that are coming at you on a 5-on-3 that you had to kill for an extended period of time. Then there's also during the game in that time frame of mid-second period to the, almost the end of the third, you have Connor McDavid, the best player in the game, missing a breakaway. Macklin Celebrini, probably the best young promising star in the game, who's going to have 100 points this year in his rookie season for San Jose. He misses a breakaway. All those things that I just mentioned, right? All those misses, all those goals, if any of them happen, just one out of the 6 different things that I just gave you, Canada is winning the gold. And they didn't. And the reason they didn't is very simple. Connor Hellebuyck. If you didn't know who Connor Hellebuyck was before the Olympics,
you do now.
You do now. Now, the reason Connor Hellebuyck does not get the acclaim he does, because you may be sitting there saying, okay, why have I never heard of him? Well, he went to college at UMass Lowell, and you're going to say to yourself, well, where's UMass Lowell? Well, the only reason I know where it is because I've been to games there. They are a Hockey East school, so they are one of these campuses of UMass, but they're a pretty good hockey school. They do play in Hockey East, the same league as Boston University, Boston College, UConn, Providence, Maine, UNH, all of these schools. So, he went to a school that does not get a lot of acclaim. And if you've ever been to Lowell, Massachusetts, where I have, which is about 25 minutes north of Boston, it is an awful town. Like it is not a place you would go visit. Like you just wouldn't go there. But it's a decent hockey school. But you didn't know him because he went there. So then he comes into the NHL, and where does he go? Probably into the market that has the most darkest days in Winnipeg. Right? There's not a lot of media there. It's just not a good place. So Connor Hellebuyck, unfortunately for him and his personal growth or notoriety, plays in a college that no one knows about and plays in probably the NHL city that has the least media coverage, that when NHL players go and play there, they call it the most depressing place in the league. So if you didn't know who he was before Sunday at 11 a.m., you know how he does now. Jack Hughes is a sore spot for Ranger fans. One, he plays for the Devils, who we don't like. And the Rangers were one pick away of opening up that envelope on that night in May of 2019 when they did the draft lotto. And the Devils got him, and the Rangers ended up with Kako, who now plays 3 time zones away in Seattle. So you can understand why, like, when someone brings up Jack Hughes, you can get a little bit annoyed. And he's also got the life. Right now, he scores the golden goal, and golden goal. You know who he's dating also, right?
Yeah.
You're dating Tate McRae.
Yeah.
The thing that's funny about that, I was looking for this, and I don't know if it's out there. Tate McRae is a huge hockey fan. Like, she made one of her videos. I forgot the name of the song. I won't know it, and it would be embarrassing if I know the song. But one of the videos is like literally set in a hockey rink. Wow. And she's a Calgary Flames fan, so she supports Team Canada. But now her boyfriend just scored the golden goal against her country. I don't know how that works. So, just a great game the other day on Sunday. I believe I saw yesterday that I think they said during the game it averaged a little over 20 million viewers, but then when it got to overtime, it was at 24 million. I don't know how that happens. I don't know if it's because it got later in the morning or people are texting people like,
game starts at 8 o'clock.
You have to turn the game on because it's now going to overtime. But hopefully it grows the game. I mean, it's certainly not going to hurt. That experience, if you're a fair weather hockey fan, I mean, if that doesn't get you into the game more, it doesn't mean that it ropes you in to being a moron and have 14 season tickets like I do. But if anything else, it should get you into the game, which is good.
I think we were very spoiled too. Like, we don't realize how amazing that moment was.
Yeah, we definitely don't. We definitely do not. And I think over time you will see that more. So
if you didn't cry when they brought out Gaudreau's kids and
Johnny Gaudreau's kid, that was that, and I've seen plenty of like TikToks and Instagram reels about it, where that moment when they brought his kids on the ice, and it was his son Johnny Jr.'s second birthday on the Olympics. I mean, like, how cool is that? It's obviously an awful situation, but it's kind of a cool moment in a dark overall situation. Just it shows you sometimes that life is bigger than the game, if you will, and the game brings out moments that it's bigger than the game itself, and that really did. Because we're a New York Rangers podcast, I feel it's fair that we need to talk about Vincent Trocheck and JT Miller's role on this team. I don't know if I ever said, and I'm not going to even say, I don't even know what my opinion was, so I'm not trying to hide behind what I said, but I don't ever remember saying I think Vincent Trocheck or JT Miller should make the team or they shouldn't. I probably, did I ever say anything? I don't think I did, right?
Well, why don't you tell us now?
No, I don't. I probably would have said, if hindsight's 2020, I would have probably, I probably would have definitely told you that JT Miller should not have been on the team because I can't stand JT Miller. And Trocheck, I probably would have been impartial with, I'm guessing.
Well, let's just look at it from, like, let's take a step back, and you're looking at their performance this season. Does this performance this season warrant them to be on the?
No, well, then they shouldn't have made a Pee Wee team. But if we're gauging this season, but the role that they played on this team were not to be there and be goal scorers, right? You had Dylan Larkin, you had Jack Eichel, you had Austin Matthews. You had plenty of Jack Hughes, Quinn Hughes. You had plenty of bona fide snipers that were out there to score. Trocheck and JT Miller's role on that team was the penalty kill and take faceoffs. I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that last week when they played Sweden, it was either late in the third when it was 1-1, or it might have even been in overtime. There was a faceoff in the defensive zone of the U.S., and they had Trocheck out to take the faceoff specifically for that reason. He won the faceoff and then came off the ice immediately. They also finished, the U.S. team finishes the Olympics on the penalty kill, 18 for 18 on the penalty kill, which is even more impressive, right? I mean, that's incredible on its own, but it's also more impressive when you think about the amount of talent that you are facing on the power plays throughout the tournament that the opposing team is putting on the power play against you. So the criticism that JT Miller and Vincent Trocheck have gotten to date in New York when we talk about the Rangers, because that's normally what we focus on around here, is completely warranted, right? I mean, I could sit here and I'm sure give me till tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'll be back on killing them. However, for what they did in the Olympics, they have absolutely no right to be criticized, because what their role, what they were brought on this team by the general manager, Bill Guerin, to do, and also the assistant manager, Chris Drury, does deserve credit, although no one here wants to give Chris Drury any kind of credit. But they deserve credit because the role that they were brought onto this U.S. team to fill, they filled it perfectly. They did. So you have to give them credit, even though you may feel a little weird about doing so, you have to give them credit. Yes.
So then can I go a step further?
Sure.
Based on that theory, based on those facts, then you got to say that Mike Sullivan is a good coach.
You do. So thank you. We were gonna get to that. I'll get to it now. Mike Sullivan, again, was brought here when this team was already constructed. I don't care if you had Scotty Bowman behind the bench this past season. I don't know that it would be any different with this group. Mike Sullivan is a good coach. I said that when they hired him. I'm saying that to you today when the Rangers sit in last place with 50 points. This is not on the coach. You can then turn around and throw in my face that you're saying that Mike Sullivan is a good coach because he just had a team with Jack Hughes and Connor Hellebuyck playing the way he did and his son-in-law, Charlie McAvoy, and he did. You're right. But he's playing against other Olympic teams as well. Mike Sullivan is a good coach.
And mind you, he's got all these great players. Like, you got to deal with those personalities and ego, and he did a great job. As you see in all the interviews, they're all playing for each other. They're all playing for the country. They all mesh
together. Correct. And that's a great point by you, because this is not a team that has a training camp. They don't travel during the season to 41 road games together. They board a plane 2.5 weeks ago after, their NHL teams takes a pause. They land in Milan, Italy. They're living in this Olympic village. They don't have they haven't had the previous time to mesh. Now, granted, a lot of them know each other, and a lot of them played in the Four Nations last year, but it's nothing like this experience. And I'm not trying to take anything away from the Four Nations last year or bashing Canada. I'm not doing that at all. But you can see why the Olympics is definitely a step above the Four Nations. It's not just 4 teams, and it's the Olympics, right? And the U.S., and those of you that are upset now that you have to wait 4 years, you don't actually, because in 2 years they're doing the World Cup of Hockey again, which is really cool. The World Cup was good. Nice. If you remember it in 1996, which is the best mention of the World Cup of Hockey, Mike Richter was literally out of his mind. There was a game, I want to say it was in Montreal, that it is one of the greatest single goaltending displays in a hockey game you will ever see, and that was in the World Cup of Hockey.
So let me ask you this.
Yes.
In the World Cup of Hockey, is everyone represented? Are there any teams are there any countries that are banned? Russia?
So that would, the first thing I thought of, I don't know. I would like to see Russia have a team, right? Yeah. That's not to say that Russia would be definitely winning the Olympics, but they would have been more competition than some of the other countries that were in there. That's for sure. The NHL Olympics, so the game ends, Jack Hughes wins it a little over a minute in, and it's 3-on-3. Now, I had said to my wife, because we were watching it, that, and I said this before, I'm not going to change my tone, I'm going to be fair here, that it's not the right way to do this. 3-on-3 is not the right way to decide an Olympic gold medal. 3-on-3 is great, and it's entertaining when it's 9:35 on a Wednesday night at MSG and the Rangers are playing the Oilers, right? And you got to go home, the game's over, and someone's got to get the extra point. 3-on-3 is fine in that situation. It's not fine to decide an Olympic gold medal. I do have a problem with that. Granted, it worked out in the U.S.'s favor, and, Canada then, of course, goes to the whole, bitching about it, which I guess is fine, which I understand. I don't love it. And I actually said in the Sweden game that the U.S. won where Quinn Hughes won it last week, that the 3-on-3 should not be a way to do it. I would go back to traditional overtime, like playoffs, which is 5-on-5. You play until someone wins.
Yeah. That's what it should be in every sport.
In 2010, which is the other great Olympic game that Canada defeated the U.S. in overtime. And I can't remember where that was. I think it was Salt Lake City, actually. They won on Crosby's golden goal. In 2010, it was 4-on-4. That would be better. I still think 5-on-5 is the way to go, but somehow it's morphed between 2010 to 2026 from 4-on-4 to 3-on-3. I'm not a fan of that.
I just don't get how, you have this great game of hockey, and this is, like you said, this isn't like a regular season game. We're just trying to get everyone home. This is the championship game. That's so great. Like, why cut it short, or why try to make it speed up? Just keep playing. Just keep playing until you got another 20 minutes. Whoever's winning that 20 minutes. Oh, we're going to play another. We're going to play another period.
Yeah, I didn't love it. It's not the right way for it to end.
Yeah.
And it's also not like, if you go back to 2014, another famous game when the U.S. played Russia, and Oshie won it in a shootout where he had two penalty shots that he scored on in that game. I don't love that either. Yeah. I just feel like these games are so important. It should be decided with traditional 5-on-5. Yeah. You play until someone scores, like you would decide a Stanley Cup playoff game. The NHL is concerned going into it, and this has been rumored for years. Guys, this is nothing new. We hear about this every time there is some sort of international competition, that they get concerned about their players playing in an international contest and injuries. Kevin Fiala for the Kings is now out for the season. And as you know, because you are a Ranger fan, the Kings just made a trade right before the Olympic break to bring someone in to help their run. So it's unfortunate that happened. Crosby got injured as well, who was out. I don't necessarily agree with the statement that, well, of course the U.S. won. They didn't have Sidney Crosby. Crosby is not right now. McKinnon and Makar and all these guys. Crosby would help Canada immensely. I'm not taking that away from him, but let's not pretend that he's going out and was lighting up the score sheet. But either way, if you're a Pittsburgh fan, and Pittsburgh is also, I believe, 29-15 with hopes of making a playoff run, it hurts that he's out. So both injuries, though, to be fair, could have happened in an NHL game. So, and then everyone wants to go nuts on the Kevin Fiala injury, of course, because it was Tom Wilson that did it, but they weren't dirty plays. So again, players can get hurt in practice. Look at JT Miller getting hurt in in training camp on a non-contact injury. Injuries can happen. Speaking of JT Miller, Captain JT Miller, I was very happy to see that the U.S., as they should, had a opportunity to celebrate. So they tried to fly back to New York, but because of the blizzard that we had up here, they went to Miami instead, which probably, if you're going to go out and party, is the right place anyway. They're at a club on Monday night. I believe it was called 11 something. 11 something. Yeah. You would know. You would know the club scene.
Yeah. They all had the hats
I go to
on.
bed early, Doug. We know this.
11 in Miami.
So they go out and they're celebrating, and you see a side of JT Miller that, I need to see some ID on this gentleman, because I'm looking at him crowd surfing. I'm looking at him leading musical renditions. And I think about, and instantly this is what I thought about. I think about him sitting in the locker room I don't know what's happening with the team. I don't know. We're just got outplayed. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know. And where he just looks lost. I mean, you have to think that, granted, you just won Olympic gold, and that's going to put you on some sort of personal high that you've never been on. But the difference, it's probably even more clear as day. He just ain't happy here, or he's not made out to be captain material, or maybe it's option C, all of the above, where it's both.
I mean, something's obviously up. It ain't the coach. It's been here for a while. It's spreading throughout the whole team. It's spread. So 2 years ago, I would say there was rumblings and it was starting to spread. Now this, whatever you want to call it, some people call it a cancer, has spread throughout the team. You got to make some changes, and some of those changes might be higher up in the food chain.
Look, I'm happy for JT Miller, obviously. I'm happy for Vincent Trocheck. I'm happy for David Quinn. I'm happy for Chris Drury. I'm happy for Mike Sullivan. Any Ranger of those 5 names, and I'll even mention ex-Ranger coach John Tortorella, who was an assistant coach. I'm happy for all of them. However, JT Miller doesn't act like that. These guys are not acting the same way when they come back here. And if you think about it like this for Mike Sullivan, right? You now just won your country gold in a moment that 100 years from now is going to be replayed, right? Whatever the TikToks and the Instagram is in 100 years, because it won't be that, it'll be something better. There still will be footage of that goal, right? Mike Sullivan just coached that team. He now has to go back today to the practice facility in Tarrytown, New York, and look at his hockey team. And he goes from that moment to things like Johnny Brodzinski and Matt Rempe, who granted is on the IR. And things and Spencer Martin, you are. It's just wild to me. It is a drop off of epic proportions. Even for Chris Drury, right, an assistant GM of this U.S. team. Now he comes home and the trade deadline is 10 days away of an absolute disaster. You couldn't get 2 polar opposite situations of the U.S. men's Olympic hockey team and the current state of the New York Rangers.
It's crazy.
I mean, so I don't. Again, we were all for taking like a 2-week mental break. We didn't even do an episode last week, which was the first time in a long time we haven't done that. It was like, let's just get away from it. And we got sucked back in because it was good hockey. And what's coming tomorrow is going to be painful.
Did you just feel it too? Like we were talking about the Olympics, and now we're like, and then the Rangers.
Yeah,
you just feel it
mentally. So tomorrow night, the Rangers return. The Rangers actually have an interesting schedule. If they were competitive, it would actually be really cool because they open up the post-Olympic break with 3 divisional home games. They play the Flyers tomorrow night. They play the Penguins, who will be without Sidney Crosby, on Saturday afternoon in a matinee game at MSG, and then Columbus on Monday. The trade deadline, if you think like you were out of Ranger world, you have to come back pretty quickly because the trade deadline is now 9 days away. It's next Friday. And by the way, we will not be on next Wednesday. We will be on next Friday for the trade deadline. We'll be on Friday morning. Yes, we're gonna. I don't know if we've ever done a Friday show.
Yes, trade deadline special. Maybe we get some TS Mod delivered.
Yeah, that would be good. Why don't you set it?
I'll set it up.
Chris.
You want a special guest, Chris, to come on over?
Chris will bring the food and he can come on. Sure, if Chris wants to come on. I mean, for TS Mod Chinese food, I'm all for it. Anyways, the trade deadline is 9 days away. Everyone is talking about did the Olympics help Vincent Trocheck's stock? Right? Is Vincent Trocheck's stock higher now because of what happened in the Olympics? My guess would be no. I mean, if I was wrong, it would be good. But why would Vincent Trocheck's stock be higher?
He's a gold medal winner.
But what did he do? Right? He was great and he was good at what he did.
We're not selling that part of it. We're selling the
I'm just telling anyone. When you trade for him, you get his gold medal too. No, he was really good, obviously, on the PK. He was perfect on the PK. So that can help a team. And he was very good on the faceoffs, right? But I don't know that the Olympics really showed you that more than you probably already know if you were one of the other 31 GMs that are not named Chris Drury. I don't know that the Olympics helps his value. It certainly doesn't hurt, but I don't know that teams are calling Chris Drury today because now the Olympic freeze is over and saying to themselves, you know what? I'm going to throw a first-round pick and a prospect because I need Vincent Trocheck after what I saw him do in Milan. Now, I don't think he enlightened you anymore. Vincent Trocheck, and there's definitely a lot of people because you guys have been DMing me this. Vincent Trocheck has to be traded in the next 9 days. Let me take that back. He's under contract, so he can be traded in the offseason. It would be fine. But if there's a deal that in right now Chris Drury feels is good because the team wants to throw a little more than they will in the offseason because they're going to try and make a Stanley Cup run here in the spring of 2026, I think you take it. I would be surprised 10 days from now, so that would be the morning of, let's see, that would be Saturday, March 7th, right? The morning after the trade deadline. I would be surprised if Vincent Trocheck is still here. I wouldn't be shocked, but I would be surprised. The other name that keeps coming up, and it's one that I can argue either way, and that is Braden Schneider. Braden Schneider is going to be a free agent. However, to me, he's still young, and I understand he's going to get more money than he makes now, and his contract right now is a bargain. But I still think that if you said to me we were going to hold on to him because we're going to re-sign him, then yes. The problem with that is this, though. If you hold on to Braden Schneider and then you lose him for nothing because someone overpays him in the offseason, you had your opportunity there at the deadline to get something for him, and then you let him walk for nothing. And that's not good.
So what part of this, because this sounds like, this doesn't sound like a retooling. It sounds like we're in rebuild mode 100%.
So rebuild versus retool. The Rangers sent out a letter. Yeah. As we know, on January 16th, I got it as a season ticket holder. And by the way, I'm not speaking of anyone in general, and I know that someone's going to think that I'm talking about to them in particular with this, and I'm not. I'm just saying this in general. Those of you that think the season ticket holders didn't get the letter, we did. That's how I found out about it. I got a letter it came from Chris Drury to us. I understand it goes out to the media.
All over social media too.
But people are saying, well, the season ticket holders don't get it. No, we do. It got emailed to me. That's how I personally found out about it. So it did. In the letter, they mention that this is a retool and not a rebuild. And the logic in their thinking is very easy to figure out. You just signed a goalie for 8 years to the highest goaltending contract ever. Why would we then, in turn, rebuild everything with him here? Then we don't need Igor, right? So we're going to sell it as a retool. I think when you look beyond the surface at that whole Igor point, I think then it's hard to understand why it is a retool. It is a rebuild.
Yeah.
And because it is a rebuild, that is why you are taking whatever you can get for players. I think Sam Carrick, and I don't know why I'm not seeing this talked about anywhere, I think Sam Carrick has a ton of value for some team that's going on a Stanley Cup run. He makes $1 million a year. He's a feisty fourth-line guy. He'll forecheck the other team to death. He's a great asset for someone. Why does he have to be here for the next 6 weeks? Why would any of these people want to be here? I don't even want to watch tomorrow night. Right? Why would anyone want to be here?
It's crazy.
What are you looking for in the next 7 weeks, other than the fact that you want the next 7 weeks to go fast and be over?
You want to be put on the right direction. You want a culture shift. How are we gonna turn things around? I feel like we've already gotten new players, and we're just really going. It's like it's the same stuff over and over again. We need a culture shift. We need to turn the ship around.
You're not going to change the culture in 7 weeks, especially where you have people coming in and out the door at the trade deadline. But I would look at it, and this is so annoying to say, that I'm almost looking at it right now, and I'm thinking of the last weekend of September of this coming fall. Because remember, the NHL season starts earlier next year because they're adding games, which is good. So it cuts down the offseason a little bit. I'm almost looking at September and saying, what can I do now? And what am I looking for in the next 7 weeks to make me feel more confident in September? Because right now, there's nothing else that needs to – I'm not going to gain anything this year. Like you said to me before, what do we need to do to make the playoffs? What's the record need to be?
I was joking, saying we literally need to win every game left.
And here's the amazing thing, because we looked at this before we went on live.
Yeah.
The Rangers have 50 points. I'm going to pull this up because this is actually kind of remarkably amazing to me. And I didn't realize this, and maybe I'm going to take the blame for not realizing this. There's 25 games left, all right? If you went 25-0, each game is worth 2 points. You've gotten 50 more points.
Yes.
Right now, the Rangers have exactly 50 points. So if you go 25-0, you have 100 points. Will 100 points get you in the playoffs? Yes. Okay. But they're not going to go 25-0. You don't need me to tell you that. They have a better chance of going 0-25. I know that. But think about it like this. Usually the cutoff mark to make the playoffs is about 90, 92 points, something like that. For them to do that, if they went 20-5, they would have 90 points. And that might not even be enough. That's how bad the Rangers have been. You could go 20-5 from here out. You could win 4 of every 5 games.
That's crazy.
From now until April 15th, and you still might not make the playoffs.
That's crazy.
You're not going 25-0, and I'm not saying they're going 20-5 because they're not. But that's how far out of it they are.
Let's just be, in some alternate universe here. And you have 25 games. Let's just say it's a 25-game season, right? The best that this team can do is what? Out of those 25 games. Forget about the playoffs and the numbers and the points. What is the 25-game season right now? How many games are we winning? What's the best that we can do?
There's 25 games left.
10, 15?
They're not winning 15. Wow. I think that they will go. And Ed Maturgo saying 13-12. They're not going 13-12.
Wow.
They
can't even win half of them. Oh my God.
Well, here's where they're going to get help. If you want to be an optimist and you think if you're going to root for the Rangers to win games, which you're a fan, that's fine. You're getting Igor Shesterkin back probably. That will help. He on his own will win you a few games here and there without getting any offensive support. I would say out of the final 25, they at most. So I'll give you best case and then realistic and worst case.
Sure.
Right?
Best case first.
Best case, this team.
25 games.
This team wins about half of them, 12 or 13. Wow. Okay. That's your best case.
Best case scenario.
The most realistic case,
yeah,
they win 8 or 9 is realistic.
Yeah.
The worst case, they win 4 or 5.
Oh boy.
So they're going to end between 4 wins and 12.
Okay, so best case,
mm-hmm.
How many points does that give us?
12. I'll give Ed Maturko's number. That's 13. That's 26 points. Yeah. That gets you to 76 points. You're not even close to making It is so bad that when I look at the Eastern Conference standings, which I have not looked at a lot, right? I have not looked at the Eastern Conference standings a lot. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason why we haven't looked at the standings, okay? So they are the worst team in the East, but they are the worst team in the East by a mile. The Devils are this, which is also surprising. Mm-hmm. I didn't realize this, are the second worst team in the East, but they have 58 points.
And it feels like it was just a month or two ago that we were like, we stink, but like we're only 5 points behind.
Yeah. Well, we had said here that you had to look more deeper than the numbers.
Yeah.
That when people were saying, because this is what happened in December, if you remember, the Metropolitan Division was like a logjam, right? Mm-hmm. Where there was like no team that was running away with it.
Yeah.
And the Hurricanes now have like an 8-point lead in it. So they're not necessarily running away with it either, even yet. But you had a situation where like the first place and last place were separated by like 5 points, mm-hmm. right? And the mm-hmm. Rangers, if you remember, had also played more games than everyone, which is also a sign that it's not real. And we had said, if you look deeper, you would see they're probably not going to go anywhere. And all they've done now is sink to the bottom.
So this is like just being, just alternate universe here. Being in the division that we're in and the only being technically behind 8 points, does that help our cause?
For what? What's the cause to make?
I'm just saying, like, you need to get like 95 points, right? Usually, mm-hmm. But if your whole division is not getting 95 points, that helps.
That would help. That would help your cause in a normal year.
Yeah.
That the cutoff to make the Stanley Cup playoffs is not as high of a number when there's more parity, which is what was going on in the division. However, as more games have been played, if you look where we said the difference was 6 points in the division.
That was like 3 months ago.
Right. First place in the division is 78. That's Carolina. Yeah. Last place is the Rangers. It's 50. That's now a 28-point difference. That has now come back to earth.
And what did you say? You just said it was an 8-point difference somewhere.
8-point difference between the Rangers and the Devils, because the Devils are the second worst in the conference.
Okay, gotcha.
But that's a substantial difference. That's a 4-game difference.
Okay, so there's 20 points from first to last.
Yep.
How about last playoff spot?
The last playoff slot right now is going to be 69 points. That is occupied by the Bruins. And so the Rangers, that would be 19-point difference. There's zero chance. First off, if the Rangers were tied, like if I woke up tomorrow and they were tied for the last playoff spot, they still would have no chance because they're awful. The team is terrible. They'd have to. The only chance the Rangers would have had to make the playoffs as we are as of this moment would be if they had an X next to their name that they already clinched somehow, which they haven't, obviously. They're in last place. If you look at their stats, right, and I'm looking at this now because it does outline some really bad things, and I'm just looking at the Metropolitan Division. They are tied for the worst goals against in the division, and they are second only behind the Devils, ironically, which is also weird to me, in goals for. So they are barely out of last in goals for, and they are tied for the worst goals against. And therefore, you're going to be last in the division, and their goal differential is minus 29.
That's pretty bad considering that you have like a third of the season left.
Yeah. Yep. It's bad. And as Ed is saying, put an E next to them, which would stand for eliminated. If you've ever seen that happen. I guess it hasn't happened officially yet because here's why it hasn't happened. Because, okay, theoretically they could go 25-0 and 100 points would get you in mathematically. But let's be realistic. So tomorrow night they are home against Philly. It returns. Although, like I said, if the Rangers want to take a couple more days off, I'm all for it. I'm all for them not coming back. Take the Flyers tomorrow night, Penguins at home Saturday afternoon, and the Blue Jackets, who have been red hot since they made a coaching change, and Rick Bowness actually, are there coming to town on Monday night. Again, congratulations to Team USA. That is going to be the highlight of our hockey year.
We should just keep talking about, reminiscing about for the next 2 months.
We should touch the Rangers again on July 1st when they do the free agent stuff. That's what we should do. We should just become a USA hockey show only, so we have some positive vibes around here instead of talking about this nonsense. Yes.
For our homework, just because there's a lot going on here, I just want to make sure we're on the same page. For our homework, obviously tough to make the playoffs this year, but what are the things that we need to do to turn the ship around? What should we be looking for as a fan base? As a fan base,
you want to see right now.
Yeah. What do we want to see?
What you want to see are the guys that are going to be here. So Gabe Perreault, I still don't think they're moving Adam Fox. Will Cooley, guys that are going to be here next year. Mika Zibanejad, JT Miller will be here next year. You want to see them give you reasons to be optimistic of their play. You want to see Igor Shesterkin come back and be Igor Shesterkin, right? That's what you want to see. You want to see things that give you hope for the last week of September in 2026 when it's opening night. And I would be all for, by the way, next year, them not opening at home like they did this year. They seem to always do better when they open on the road. They always lose. When the first game is at home, they always lose. Always. And when they've been on the road, like the last few years, they were in Pittsburgh last year. They won 6-0. The year before they won, I forgot where they were. It'll come back to me. Maybe Buffalo. They do well, but you want to see things that make you feel better for the end of September. Congratulations again to the U.S. We thank the Bamboozle Project as always. www.thebamboozleproject.com. Use promo code MYPB. We thank DraftKings as well. And we are not on next Wednesday. Again, we will shift gears. We will be on next Friday. We'll put up a
trade deadline special.
There's also a chance by then that there will have been moves that have been made. Yeah. So that'll be interesting to do. And we will talk to you next week.